piece of... Wow. Okay. Finally. Computers supposed to make our life easier. Apologies about that. Just had a major actual problem today that an individual is illegally occupying a position in the Anderson Police Department for Anderson, South Carolina. After multiple transfers, was transferred to a section that was claimed to be by the assistant or something to the chief, because they didn't actually identify that it was just selected for the chief or assistant chief, and somebody else answered. Was transferred to the actual investigation department to some lieutenant. Was not able to actually clearly hear the name. It was asked about who would actually provide under this section of law here for the body armor. This individual paused for a little bit to look it up, which is understandable enough. However, when they got to the actual done with their search, they said that there was no such statute. There was actually confirmation about what was actually being accessed, because not only does this actually show up on the actual Gov site here, it also shows up on a basic Google search. This person stated multiple times that it does not exist, and then began asking invasive, non-related questions. They were informed that this is due to witnessing of human rights violations that have already resulted in at least one person's death and nearly the death of multiple other people. Previous attempts to contact multiple actual governmental organizations have been obstructed in the same way this individual did. When this individual was specifically inquired as to identify themselves, they did not. They were therefore informed they were bound by law to remove themselves. A tip was submitted via the actual tip line, but more than likely, nothing has happened. This is a problem of demonstration of terroristic action being conducted. And it's not just within Anderson, South Carolina, because it's adjoining within multiple other organizations in Greenville, being held hostage by individuals occupying those governmental positions and not being in compliance with the law. Also over in Pickens County, also over in Clemson, South Carolina, and also even within the South Carolina Supreme Court. As they were actually contacted about actually these multiple flagrant violations. And instead of actually pursuing it forward, there's just been attempts to actually do retaliatory acts by asking invasive, non-related questions. Multiple denials of the actual law. And when these individuals are actually specifically pressed about this matter, they start saying things and doing actions that are very clearly illegal. Such as shifting to another actual division as being responsible, or another office, or someplace else. Ignoring actual written notice sent to them. Falsifying records. For instance, there's actually an effort right now to kill being conducted on July 4th, 2022, under false pretenses, false things presented. This is why the actual public has already deemed it as inhumane acts and has actually taken steps such as the removal of over $1.1 trillion from the $80 trillion world economy. The cumulative amount added up to just over $10.1 trillion as of March 14th, 2022. But as that has not actually been enough for these individuals to shift away from these practices that cannot be supported anymore, practices that lead to human rights violation of starving people to death, denying them access to basic hygienic services, and still charging them as though they are. Falsification of records for when these people conduct actions under such egregious conditions that are being thrust upon them, as though it's their entire responsibility and penalization, when it's demonstrably the very individuals occupying these governmental positions, such as the various police departments, sheriff departments, judiciary positions, that are the ones doing this. So there's going to be additional removal. Efforts to actually identify it in order to mitigate it have been severely hampered, but it's been identified clearly enough that the next actual level is not going to be monetary amounts. It's going to be resources. And point to the fact is it's already actually started. The resources available will be insufficient, or better described as deficient, for what is needed. They will pull stuff out to try and use it, and it just won't work. And it's going to continue. There's a couple more steps. But ultimately, these ideas, methods, and behaviors are going away. They cannot be supported already. And it's quite unfortunate for those people who choose to continue to be incumbent and synonymous with these already defunct methods.